The following video is a clip from the Geeks, the Multiverse podcast. We upload new episodes recapping and discussing news and rumours on the last day of every month. So, if you stick around and like what you see, maybe consider checking it out.
Now seems like the perfect time to review Peacemaker Season 2 and its finale. So, we were quite unfortunate last month, really. We were like, we were recording last month's podcast like a week away from the finale of Peacemaker. So, we've had a long time to sit on this. And perhaps it's not as relevant anymore, but Will, I know you've got a lot. I mean, we both got a lot of strong feelings towards this finale and the way that the season went, and quite opposing views in a lot of ways as well. But why don't you kick this off with your thoughts on the finale and the season as a whole?
Okay, so you remember when you saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2 back in the day, and you said to me that you didn't like it that much because you felt that it was too much like James Gunn.
Yeah, I said it was. I think what I said was like James Gunn. Well, I didn't say it was too much James Gunn, but I said it was James took what he loved and what people loved from the first film, and he just went times two.
You know what?
And it felt too much.
That's how I feel about this season of Peacemaker, or at least like the final episodes, because there's so many music like things. Like I like his music like choices, and well, most of them. I'm not gonna say about some of the ones he used in the finale, but he went a bit over the top with the music, like scenes and the montages and slow motion and whatever. I think that compared to the first, like the finale of the first season, he completely got the balance wrong. Because you can say that this is character driven or whatever, but so was the first season, and that had a finale that had like really good action scenes, really good like character development, really good closure for that season, and also like really good music without being too intrusive to the episode and taking a lot of time and being annoying. And he didn't need a band to show up twice and have like two scenes with a band playing for absolutely no reason. Could have just got away with the first one, and it could have been absolutely fine. I didn't need 10 minutes of like music and just not a lot happening.
It was quite heavy on the needle drops, I will say.
Yeah. And with the band showing up again, it's just I think it's just James Gunn being just like he's getting his own interests in the way of making a good episode.
Yeah, I think it was a good episode. I think that's where we differ on that.
I'd like to say though, I don't think it's a bad episode. I think it's a bad finale. It's a bad season finale. It is like well written. I'm not gonna not say that, but well, for the most part, some of the characters are a bit but I think that it is a good like episode if it came out like 2 episodes before the point that it did, because I think that in a season finale you need that climax of like you need it to be like chaotic, and I think that he just completely went against it because he wanted to like write the characters of his friends. It's like he was saying like all these moments made him cry, but I didn't get that same reaction because it's him seeing his like friends crying, and that probably makes him upset. But some of them, like, I'm not a big hardcore fan, so, and I know the internet didn't have the same reaction as well to it, where it was like, he was saying, like, this is, like, the best scene in the like, he's ever written, or whatever, and it was just because it was his wife crying. Like, the acting, his wife was crying, and I'm sure that did make him upset and emotional, because I'm sure that's something that he doesn't want to see. But to me, it was like, okay, it's a nice scene, but I think you're overreacting. And I think a lot of what he was saying was really getting people's expectations up. And he just shouldn't have been doing that. Because, like, the first season finale was so, like, chaotic that, like I said, they had great action scenes, they had great moments, and they had a great, it was just really good episode that balanced all of that really well. It balanced the action scenes where people, like, saying like, "Oh, you just want a glopshito cameo action slop episode." Like, no, the first season had a really, really good finale, and it had such a great balance between that. And I really liked the way they sort of tried to do it this season, where they had the episode 7 was sort of like it was sort of two finales, where one sort of wrapped up one plot, and the other did that like wrapped up the second plot. So the first season, it was his dad. That sort of story, all got wrapped up in episode 7, and the bugs, not the the bugs, the alien guy. What are they called?
This is two
Butterflies.
podcasts in a row now. You've called them bugs.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep calling them bugs. I only like Helldivers, and there's bugs on Helldivers. So now when I think of alien bugs, that butterflies, they're bugs, butterflies. I think of that. And yeah, so the second episode 8 in the first season wrapped that up. They tried to do it this way, where the first episode, or episode 7, wrapped up the Earth X side plot, which, well, not side plot, but story. And episode 8 did the whole Argus stuff. But I'll be honest, I kind of wish they did it the other way around, because I don't know how they do that, obviously. They'd have to restructure the whole show, because obviously they're coming from that Earth back to the main one. But I wish that they did more stuff with episodes, episodes with the other Earth, because it's something that it was very like surface level in the end. They didn't do much with it. They didn't explore much of it. They just said it's a bad, Nazi Earth. And obviously, you don't really need to be told why it's a bad, why Nazi Earth is bad. But they got there, and then they got it to Nazi Earth, and then they left half an hour later.
So I don't necessarily I don't necessarily think it was surface level. I think that the exploration of that, I think what you're trying to say obviously is the exploration of that universe was surface level. Like we didn't see the universe or what it was like for the people of that world. We didn't see what other heroes maybe were like, or what or these camps, or the fucking the freedom fighters or anything like this. Like that's fair enough. I think what perhaps James was a little bit more concerned with doing, though, and what wasn't surface level, was more so the exploration of this world for Peacemaker, and what it was like for Chris to be in this world where he's a hero, and his brother's alive, and his dad loves him, and he was with Harcourt, and whatever. And that, I think, was done really, really well. It wasn't your conventional multiverse superhero exploration. And I think, had you have even done the slightest bit of, I think you perhaps could have done something with the freedom fighters a little bit more.
Yeah, they show up, and they don't get they get mentioned once, and then they nothing happens with them. I think
I think you definitely could have done something with that, but I wouldn't have wanted much more exploration of this world, because I mean, you had to kind of keep the in quotes secret.
Well, I think
that it was Earth X.
They
but
could
also
have done that in the 7th episode, which was like half an hour long. I think it was really good, but I think it could have been a lot better as well already than it was. Than if they did keep give that episode another 15 minutes, and you get to see more of like the differences between the two worlds, and how they have to struggle to get back to the thing. Because really, if you think about it, that episode, the what's his name? The Cheeto guy. I've forgotten his name. Judo Master. Yeah. He's just been like living in this guy's house or something for the last like couple days.
Yeah.
They don't really show much out of this Earth, even after the reveal that it's like the big bad Earth. We don't see much of it, and that really annoyed me, because I thought that it would have been really cool to delve in and explore that. And we get a half an hour episode, and then they're back to the more boring story of the season, which was the Argus stuff.
I would love to see a spin-off show or animated series or whatever, or even fucking comic book or something that dives into Earth X, and you see a bit more of Captain Triumph, Chris's brother, and him, being out for vengeance and sort of being Chris's arch nemesis from across the multiverse. And you can see the freedom fighters and perhaps some other heroes of this universe and whatever and whatever. I think that would be kind of cool. Wouldn't have necessarily been necessary had they have explored it in this show. But then again, I'm like I said, I'm kind of glad they didn't, and they kept a lot of restraint when it comes to exploring the multiverse in this show. I'm really, really glad of it, because it could have just very easily have turned into your average multiversal cameo fest slop.
That's true, but I also think that they could have done further with it and not done that.
Yeah, I agree. But I like that it kept it personal, though.
Yeah, just because they're restraining it doesn't mean, for me, that it makes it automatically good. Just because they're holding themselves back. Because I think that they could do it a different way and it could be better.
Fair enough. What I will say in reference to something you said quite a while ago is that the finale wasn't a bad episode. You said it was a bad season finale. Fucking hell, fireworks.
This time,
I know. I will offer up something in return that perhaps might.
I think I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say.
Okay. So, in my opinion, and this comes to a wider problem when it comes to TV shows these days, especially that of your higher budget franchise variety, is that this episode wasn't a bad season finale. Because James Gunn says that there's not necessarily going to be a season 3, and if there is, it's not going to just going to continue on from where this leaves off. It wasn't a bad season finale; it was a bad series finale. Because the problem is that these days TV shows, especially like I said, of the high budget franchised variety, they aren't just TV shows for themselves. They're not just self-contained stories. They are a part of a wider ongoing universe. They are, and even if they aren't part of your Marvel, DC, Star Wars, they still have fucking spin-offs and whatevers. I mean, you just have to look at The Boys and Gen V and whatever, and fucking all sorts of shows these days have a million different spin-offs. They're always trying to interconnect and set up a thing for the other thing, and where will you see this character next? And so that, for me, it wasn't that it was a bad season finale. If we were getting a season 3 coming next year or the year after that picked up where this ends, and season 3 is about Chris on Salvation and Checkmate, then they're trying to find Chris and whatever, and maybe you get the return of Captain Triumph in an episode or 2, and he becomes a recurring villain for Chris and whatever. That I would say makes this episode a perfectly fine season finale. I think the fact that this might be the last ever episode of Peacemaker, I think or at the very least, this would be the last we see of him for a while, and he's going to be in other stuff before you come back for the 3rd season. It's your Mandalorian problem, right? I mean, for those those people who didn't see the Book of Boba Fett, you finish season 2 of Mandalorian, and you're like, oh, bye to the little groglet, that's going to be sad. Oh, wow, I wonder what adventures Din's going to get up to in season 3, and I wonder if he'll get him back, or at least go visit him. And then season 3 opens up, and you got fucking Mandalorian and Grogu flying through space at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, you just don't know what's
happening. And people
are
like, what the fuck? For me, that's the problem with this, I would say. If this was what's going to happen to Peacemaker? Find out next season. That's perfectly fine. That is more than fine. For me, the problem comes to the fact that you're wrapping up this show, and don't get me wrong, I think so much of this was wrapped up beautifully. They wrapped up the Earth X thing with the promise of not the promise, but the prospect of more. I think they wrapped up the Harcourt and Chris thing beautifully. I know you're not a big fan of Harcourt and Chris, or just Harcourt as a character. I've really enjoyed that.
I liked her more in season 1.
Fair enough. But I've really enjoyed that journey from developing from season 1, Chris being I really want to fuck you, to season 2, in between seasons, and throughout season 1, and then in between seasons, it's I want to date you, I want to be your boyfriend. that's quite a nice. I've really liked that dynamic. They've wrapped up the whole, Adebayo's agency thing, which, by the way, I called in the last podcast. I was like, they're gonna make the 11th Street Kids like a formal thing, and they did, but they did Checkmate instead. I think, a lot was wrapped up really nicely. For me, it was that sort of like, it was that like very little bit at the end that I just thought, really, this is how you're gonna end this show? Interesting. And don't get me wrong, like this season was nowhere near as tight as the last season, and this finale didn't have the same sort of feeling as the last finale, but they're very different seasons of television, I think. So although I still consider season 1 peak, I've still really enjoyed this season. I just don't think it was as tight, and I don't think it did a good job of ending the show. And I won't be surprised if the secret TV show that James Gunn was talking about, and him teasing where we're going to see Checkmate again very soon, ends up being a Checkmate TV show. And it's kind of like a
pseudo-sequel.
Peacemaker 2.5 pseudo-sequel situation. I guess considering he's in Salvation, it will be Peacemaker without Peacemaker, which could be fun and interesting. And it was... for a lot of this season, with any of the scenes with any of the other 11th Street Kids or Argus or anything like that, was what this season was. It was Peacemaker without Peacemaker. He didn't really do a lot of hanging out or mingling with
he didn't
the
wear
gang.
the suit much either. I'm pretty sure he didn't wear it past the second episode. He had like the alternate one, and that's something I missed, because I thought that was one of the best parts of the show, and he negated it instead. For, well, not a bad thing, but I don't like the direction they took the character stuff for some of them. Like, I can't say, like, it sounds bad if I say, like, they replaced the action for character stuff, but they replaced it for character stuff that I didn't like from the direction that they took it. Like, you were saying before you liked how the relationship between Harcourt and Peacemaker evolved. I am like the opposite. I think that he should have been like, instead of having fucking puppy eyes for her and shit, he should have realized that they can't be together. And he had to, I think it would have been a more natural development from the end of the first season, where, they do have to just stay friends because they can't be together. And however they write that or whatever, obviously they'd have to do it differently. I don't know how that would go, but I think that for me, that was how I thought, like, the natural evolution could have worked. Just getting together in the last episode, like, nothing happened.
See, I don't think that's true necessarily. I think the reason that you're saying that they can't be together is because they don't think they can be together, because they're these very hurt, lonely people, and they think that it's that it's not for them. I think And I'm doing an awful job of explaining this. I just had it far better in my head before I started speaking. But it was like, it's like these two lost souls coming together and finding that trust and finding someone that they can, because they are such lonely people. Chris has not got hasn't had a tight relationship with his dad. His brother died when he was a kid. No one seems to fucking like him. And all of a sudden in season 1, he finds these friends, and he finds this girl that he fancies, and he likes her. And then it's like, she's in a very similar spot where she's a lonely, hurting person that doesn't think these two people should or could or can be together. But the truth is that they're kind of perfect for each other, because they are in such similar places where they feel like they aren't worthy of this love. And that moment where Harcourt says that she's a fucking nightmare, and Chris is like, I don't care, I still love you. Like, that's so beautiful to me. I don't know. I don't think my mind will ever change on that necessarily. And equally, I don't think yours.
No, but I mean, I agree. Like, I understand.
We'll do the opposite.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't like it because I think that the first season, his character development going from like just being absolute like moron in the first episode, I think it would have been a lot more tragic and like bad. Well, not bad. Like emotional for the character, where he realizes that this girl he really likes, like, they can't be together, even though like they're maybe perfect for each other or whatever. I think it's more gut wrenching for the character that they can't, and sometimes not everything has to have a happy ending.
But I think with so much unhappiness in this show and in Chris's life,
But I mean,
these are his people, you know what I mean? Like the 11th Street Kids and Harcourt, like it's like he's got this very tight group of friends, this very niche, weird fucking band of misfits that for some fucking reason like him, or I know why they like him, but he just can't fathom why they would. And then he's got this girl that he can now, and I think it's what is heartbreaking about that, and is perhaps to the merit of the ending that I didn't like, is that as soon as he gets that, and as soon as he gets with her, and as soon as he has this moment, all of a sudden he gets yoinked and he gets ripped from that, and equally from her perspective, he gets ripped from her. And this is why I think we need a season 3 that follows this, as opposed to check out what happens in Man of Tomorrow, Lantern, Supergirl, fucking Clayface, and Paradise Lost. I think it'd be nice to see a season 3 where you deal with that, where it's like, the world is trying to make perhaps, and Argus and whatever are trying to make the 11th Street Kids and Harcourt think, well, Chris just got cold feet and he ran away, and he always does, and it's like, no, we fucking know that something's happened to him, and then you're dealing with that, whatever. But now I'm going down a rabbit hole of what could be that isn't going to be. But still, it's I don't know. I quite like their relationship. I will say that we, on something you said quite a while ago in terms of like the needle drops in this episode. It was perhaps not one too many in terms of the needle drops, but more in terms of how they were handled. I think you could have kept the live music to just Nelson, because obviously that was a part of the narrative, was they went to this rock boat and Nelson were playing. That's fine. I don't think you could have kept the oh Lord needle drop. That worked really well.
You don't have to have the band
needed. Yeah, I don't think you needed that.
Like I after the episode, I can't remember if I watched it while you were here, while we were talking about it, but I watched the end of the first season, and they had like a similar moment with a needle drop, and it was just so much better. Like, could you imagine that? But they're at a concert with the band there for some reason. It'd just be awful.
Yeah,
and it was so better. It was better because that like montage little bit wrapped up, like it was like the final bow on the top of the season, And this time they just used it to like make their next TV show instead.
Well, the first one, the Do You Want to Taste It needle drop was when they were going to fight the butterflies.
Yeah, the bugs. The
buggerflies.
Yeah.
So yeah, so perhaps
they have the one at the end as well, like right at the end.
Apologize, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is it apologize?
That one was insanely good.
So good, man, bro. And that song still makes me in my feels.
It was
not
really
because of it's
song.
a great song, which it is, but because of the way it was handled in that episode. Yeah, season 1 is incredible. Yes, I feel like we're missing a lot of things to talk about. Obviously the salvation thing.
Right. Lovely.
Yeah. Interesting, I would say. That like James is taking the concept of salvation and probably is gonna, adapt it in his own way. I'd be interested to see how this plays into the wider narrative of chapter 1. I mean, obviously you're gonna have this like it's this is a very anti-meta-human stance, and I would imagine that the meta-humans of the world are gonna not take so kindly to that. So I think that's gonna be something that's very overarching in this chapter. As to how it plays into Man of Tomorrow, I haven't got a Scooby.
Me neither.
Like I know that he teased that the QUC was made by, a very intelligent, otherworldly,
It's
non-human being.
Weasel's dad or whatever.
So maybe he's teasing like Brainiac will appear in Man of Tomorrow because of all the use of the QUC, or because he stumbles upon whatever, and maybe these like doors are to like the little worlds he's captured. I don't know. But yeah, I really don't see how this leads to him and Lex teaming up together unless Rick Flag backstabs Lex Luthor, considering his mind to be that of the metahuman nature, and puts him in Salvation, and then puts Superman in Salvation, or Superman goes in to rescue people, and then you have a little team up there. But yeah, I don't know where this goes from here. I know this is like something that's gonna, he said it's gonna even very slightly be touched on in that of Lanterns and what have you, and all the more or less, or most of the Creature Commandos season 2, other projects in the DCU. But yeah, I was not expecting this episode in general to take the direction it did, and I was certainly not expecting Salvation to be the big tease.
I don't think anyone was.
No, this really random sort of limited series from like I don't even know when. I did like an impulse buy after the episode, and I still haven't read it on Audible, not Audible. What's it called? Kindle. Yeah, I bought like the whole fucking run. I don't really want to read it. I could have just done a wiki. I could just gone on Wiki and read a summary. I don't know why I spent like fucking, I don't even want to think how much on this run when I have no money. But I was like, it's like for research in that. Is it? Fuck. But yeah, very unexpected direction for this episode to take. They're clearly building up Rick Flag Sr. to be this the big cheese of the DCU, or at least for this chapter, which is interesting. I mean, his character's definitely changed quite a bit over the last year of seeing him. Yeah, quite a left field turn as well. Like considering he worked with metahumans in Creature Commandos, and he seemed to be pretty chill with like the likes of Superman in Superman, and he actually said no to Lex's Planet Watch, but yet he's good with Salvation. I don't really know where that comes from, but
yeah, I don't know. I think Rick Flag was, like I said earlier, the Argus stuff just didn't interest me that much. It felt like it was meandering a lot.
Argus stuff did meander quite a lot. I'm very glad we got into the whole Rick Flag Senior versus Peacemaker "You Killed My Son" shit, because like that's been something that's been very important to Peacemaker's character right from season 1, right from fucking Suicide Squad. Really, like you can see the regret in his face as soon as he kills him. But I think, like you say, it meandered perhaps a little too much. I think a lot of the season did a little bit too, just a touch too much meandering, and had quite short episodes. So kind of a lot of them felt a little bit like nothing burgers.
Yeah, it was like
and
fluff.
Could have been condensed into a few, like condense a few episodes is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. And then make better episodes with the spare episodes that they had the room for after that.
Yeah. Again, I don't hate the season. I really enjoyed the season, but I've rewatched season 1 like I want to say like 5 or 6 times now.
It's very easy to watch the first season.
It's such a nice watch.
There's no like baggage. There's nothing. It's just a good season.
No, like I showed my housemate I was like, you gotta fucking watch this. So I showed him season 1 last year and we did a watch through. Even though season 2 is out on like Prime to buy, I don't have the same drive to be like, dude, you gotta fucking see season 2, man. We've gotta watch season 2. Like, I've
Yeah.
gotta rewatch it. I don't have the same drive. I still love it. I really do. I think it's done some great stuff and has some of my favorite moments in the whole show, the whole series. But it's just not as tight for me.
To me, it felt like it would start going somewhat interesting, and then it would pull it back, and then they'd start doing it again. They'd start getting an interest direction, and they'd stop again. There's like this GIF of like a truck, and it's about to hit something, and then the GIF ends, and it goes back to the start before it hits it. That's exactly how I feel about this season. It's like it's about to get good, and then it ends, and then the good stuff doesn't come back. They don't.
Yeah,
the good stuff just doesn't happen.
I really appreciate this season for being a very season 1 was very character driven. But like, I've liked what it's done with the characters. Should we quickly mention before we wrap this up the whole cameo thing? And like, I think a lot of people had massive expectations for this season in terms of cameos and setups and whatevers and appearances and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't for lack of James Gunn hyping it up. For me, I've had time to sit on that, and like, we had cameos. We had Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. We had Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. We had Lex's goons, which, like it or not, they are cameos from the wider DCU, and they are probably going to be important going forward, especially in Man of Tomorrow, which we are told is very much Lex-centric. We had the Justice Gang, or at least half of them. We had Maxwell Lord. So, we've had a decent amount of cameos. We haven't like I think a lot of people were expecting a lot more purely because of James hyping up the last 3 episodes. For me, I've taken that since seeing the finale or at least since seeing the last 3 episodes, as James was hyping it up to be the best things he's ever written and the things he's loved the most that he's ever done. I think that's fine, because it doesn't have to be a big spectacle for him to love it. Like, he loves it because it's a very personal right for him. Like, he's written this and it's very personal, it's very deep, it's very, his characters that he loves and he's helped craft, played by people that he loves and people that he loves to work with. Peacemaker is kind of like his holiday. He gets to go away and he gets to enjoy this time. He's working, but he's not working because he's with the people he loves to work with, and he's doing what he loves. And a lot of these scenes and these intimate moments between these characters, like when Adebayo's talking to Chris about, you're big and you're stupid, but when I'm with you, I know I feel loved. On the Peacemaker podcast, James cries over that moment because that, for him, that was his dad. That was Peacemaker was his dad, and his relationship with him. So I'm willing to completely agree that that James wasn't lying or trying to hype things up when he said that this is the best thing he's ever done, or these 3 episodes were like some of the favorite stuff he's ever written. What I will say, though, is that I don't necessarily agree with why he might hide these 3 episodes from his publicist, from the cast, from the crew, from people who were seeing advanced screenings. I don't think there was necessarily anything in them aside from like a Lex appearance, very cool, very great scene, or the way things wrap up with with Earth X or with Salvation being set up. Apart from those things, which are like, they're not the end of the world. If like a scooper, if like Daniel RPK is like, oh, Salvation is coming, like these aren't like completely spoilerific episodes. They're not like, it's not like the Justice League turning up in the end of season 1 where it's like, what the fuck? Like, that's a nice surprise I want to keep from people. Yeah. I don't think there was anything necessarily in there that was like, I have to keep this a secret at all costs. My publicist cannot see this. The fucking screeners cannot see this. I don't think there was anything necessarily in those episodes that was any more spoilerific than the rest of the season. That's what I'll say on that.
Yeah, I don't see why they hit. Maybe you could hide episode 6, I guess, because Lex Luthor was in it, but the other ones, no. But like you said, I guess if he thinks it's the best things he's ever written, and he thought that everyone was gonna be really excited and love it all, then I guess that's props to him for being confident in his work.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, I do think that a lot of what he was saying and a lot of what they were doing with like the media of this season really didn't help it. Because they sounded like it was going to be fucking absolutely bananas, and then the last episode, it's like 90% like one-on-one dialogue.
yeah. I mean, I would argue in terms of world building, season 1 does a far greater job of that. You know, with even just offhand comments like about, you know, Green Arrow existing and Batmite and Wonder Woman and the Flash and this, that, and the rest. I mean, season 1 is a feast for that kind of thing, whereas season 2 is like I've been making charts of like all the characters in the DCU that like either have appeared or mentioned or whatever, and like the ratios in terms of season 1 to season 2 are night and day. Like, I'm not saying that you have to do that, but all I'm saying is in terms of like spoilers and world building and whatever, like I'd be more worried about season 1 episodes getting out there than I would season 2.
Yeah.
But that's just me, like just looking at the stats, you know. But yeah, all in all, to wrap up my thoughts, thoroughly enjoyed the season, thoroughly enjoyed the week to week. As always, my friend, thoroughly enjoyed hopping on Discord and watching a new chapter of the DCU with you. Always a pleasure. Wasn't as strong as season 1 by for me, and I know for a lot of people by quite a substantial amount. Not because it wasn't as good, but perhaps I just didn't enjoy it as much. I still enjoy it. I would still happily rewatch it. But for me, I don't know, maybe season 1 just has a very special quality to it, and it feels very tight. And I feel like that's what this season was lacking. It was a bit saggy. It was a bit loose in terms of the writing. But I mean, my compliments to James Gunn. You know, he's written a very deeply personal and character-driven season. He's done a very good job at it. But for me, I would have made some changes here and there that would have perhaps just made this season a little tighter and wrap up the show itself a little nicer. But yeah.
Yeah, I can't say much more else. I'm disappointed in the last episode. Like I said, if they swapped him over, like if they gave this episode half an hour and cut out some of the fluff, and instead have the big crazy season ending episode being the other plot that I liked better, I would personally like it better.
Yeah. I think what you said is in terms of like wrapping up Earth X perhaps
It was
after
quite rushed.
Argus. Like
Okay.
if you do wrap up Argus first in the penultimate and then wrap up Earth X, would have come to a perhaps better conclusion to it being like a TV show of its own. But in terms of world building in the DCU, I totally understand why Argus took that precedence in the finale and why that was so important. But yeah, I think the season is a good entry to the DCU, but a weaker addition to the Peacemaker series. I think still very good. Don't get me wrong. But
what would you give it out of 10? We usually
I hate
do this.
doing this.
Yeah,
I hate doing this.
the episode, not the season.
Okay,
we can
the
do both
episode.
if you want. We can do both if you want.
Oh, fuck. Um, if the first season was like a 9, this was like a 7.
The episode,
Like
is
it
this
was just,
the whole season?
or the whole season, I would say. Like it's just missing the mark for me. It's like a couple of points off the first season. Like it's still very good, still above average, but it's missing a couple of things, and therefore it's missing a couple of points for me.
You know what?
Um,
I was going to say the exact same fucking thing. I said 7 out of 10.
yeah, still good. Still would recommend to people, but yeah, not quite as strong. If I were to do the classic Weekly Planet reviewing style of best movie ever or worst movie ever, or in this case series, I would give it the best series ever. Like, you know, it's
Like, it's better good than bad. Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's my feelings on this season of Peacemaker, and yeah, I think that about wraps up this episode of the podcast.
Wait, what
Quite
about
a long one.
what about the number for the episode?
Oh, the episode. That's tricky. Again, 7. Ooh. Ah. Oh, it does so many good like character personal things. Fuck. 6.5, 7?
I would have said
6.5.
6. So it's not
6.5. 6.5, maybe.
Yeah, I'd said 6. I think
Yeah.
some of the other episodes were good, but
Oh, fuck yeah. Was it the penultimate episode? Fuck, man. One of my favorite episodes of Peacemaker ever. I love that so much. But yeah. Yeah. 7 out of 10 for the series, 6.5 for this episode, I would say.
yeah, I'll go 7 and 6 for the whole series.
Oh, you go 7 for the episode, but 6 for the whole series?
Oh, no, the other way around, sorry.
Other way around. Yeah. Okay.
7 for the series, 6 for this episode, yeah.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here today, then maybe consider subscribing to catch our other content as and when it releases.